All right, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. All right, you don't like them. I don't like them. Nobody likes them. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. Yo, what are you, Theodore? What are you talking about, dude? I'm talking about cock blockers, bro. All right, nobody likes them. I think it's safe to say that almost everyone in their life has at least experienced one or several moments where they were almost so close to securing something, but then all of a sudden their friend came through, or just some BS just came through to the point that you could not get your end goal. And that's what this week's episode is about: cock blockers. Let's get it. So it was my freshman year of college, and I was heading back to my dorm. This was on a Thursday, and I know it was because I had bio lab. And that day I failed a test actually, and I had this huge headache, and I was just not having the best day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna chill, try to recuperate and just take on the rest of the week. But then I get a phone call from my boy Anton. He's like, yo, you got to come down to the Den right now. Now the Den is this restaurant place at my campus, and he wanted me to meet him down there. And I'm like, why? He's like, dude, remember that cute girl we saw a couple days ago? And I'm like, oh, the one with the cool shirt and everything, right? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, what about her? It's like, dude, apparently she's friends with, and I'm gonna not name drop so I don't get in trouble a little bit later. So let's just call this girl Naya, all right? Because Naya and I aren't friends, but I'll explain later. So he's like, yeah, dude, she's friends with Naya. You need to come down here right now. You can make her move. And I'm like, you know what, dude? Like, it was a long day. Like, I should probably just say. He's like, no, like, you need to come down now. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll head down. So after Anton hangs up, I'm thinking to myself, should I really go or should I just sleep? Because today was super long. Like, I had a really bad day. But then I'm like, I could really meet this girl, introduce myself, make some moves. And after a minute of thinking, I'm like, all right. So I walk down there. It takes me about 15 minutes to get there. As I walk in, Anton sees me, and then his eyes shoot up immediately. And I make eye contact with him, and he points his eyes to the left. To his left, the girl is right there. And this chick was looking fire. I'm like, okay, she really is cute, bro. So I'm thinking like, all right, how am I going to make my move? What am I going to do? Basically, how am I going to pull up and act, right? So I pull up to the table and I'm like, oh, what's up, everybody? Oh, and hello, stranger. And she giggles. She's like, oh, that's how it is, huh? And I'm like, yeah, that's how it is. Do you want to change that? And she's like, yeah, my name is, and for this video, we're going to change her name, Rose. And just like that, we started talking and we became pretty cool overall. She was actually really chill, but one of our friends, Naya, wasn't a big fan of that. So she's giving me this cold, hard stare, and I'm looking at her back like, are you okay? Like, is there something wrong? And she's giving me this look like, no, why are you shooting your shot at my friend? No. I already have a boyfriend, but I want to make sure that you're not happy. No. I'm such a loser. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going on. I've never done anything to this girl. But she's making sure that she shuts it down. And I'm looking back at her like, you want to go to war? Alright. But just know one thing, I don't back down. So you try your best, I'm going to try my best. And just like that, we all left the Den and we started heading back to our dorm room, and we invited Rose over. Now, this is actually a perfect scenario for me, because if she comes back to our dorm room, I can get to know her even more, and I can get her snap and her number, and I can start to make a little bit of progress. You know what I mean? So as we're walking back, we split into two groups, the boys and the girls. I don't know why we split, because there's a lot more guys in the group than girls, but whatever. So I'm talking to the boys, Anton, Drake, Lyle, Joey, Ben, and I'm telling them all like how I've seen this girl before and I'm trying to shoot my shot. Back me up as I get into the room, because for some reason Naya's trying to go to war with me. And they're like, yeah, we got you, bro. We're going to back you up. Don't worry. So yeah, we head back, and that's when everything began. So we pull up to the dorm, we get to Joey's room, and we're all trying to take seats. And I noticed that Rose had a spot next to Lyle, but there's this little gap in between them. So I was like, all right, let me sit there so I can talk to her a little bit more. All of a sudden, I see Naya come through, kind of shoved me, and then sat down like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to sit here because I want to sit next to Lyle, And I'm looking at her like, all right, if this is what you want. Like, I'm ready for war. All right, I got my face paint on. I got my military fatigues. Whatever. We'll do it. I'm ready. All right, you want to battle? Let's battle then. So the night continues on, and I'm trying to ask questions so I can get a feel on who Rose is as a person. I'm trying to understand what her personality's like. And then Naya comes in, and she keeps on butting in every time she's about to answer. Like for instance, right? I was trying to ask her, what's your major? And then she'd be like, oh, it's psych. And then Naya would come in and be like, psychology. Yeah, it's psychology. And I'm like, okay. Like, I'm trying to ask her. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. And this is going on like all night until I asked a question that even she didn't know an answer to. It was so dumb, by the way, but I had to do it so I can get to know Rose better. So I'm like, hey, you like pineapples on pizza or no? And she's like, ew, no. And I'm like, yes. Because, pineapple on pizza is disgusting. But that's not the point. The point is that now I was able to ask a question finally that she didn't know about. And if I'm able to like ask more questions like this, I can get into more personal stuff and get to know her even more. So finally I get the chance to do so. And this is getting Naya pissed off. Like, she's getting really angry. Like, I see the cold stare, right? So I get to know her a lot more. And finally I go in and I'm like, hey Rose, what's your snap? And then she gave it to me. And I was like, yes, like the theme song from Final Fantasy VII came on. It was just like, so it was finally happening. But then this is where the L comes in. And oh boy, do I fumble the bag. Like, okay, let's say I just won the lottery. I have the ticket in my hand and I'm holding it up in the air. Someone that's driving by just snatches it from my hand and it's long on. Like, that's how bad I fumbled this bag. So after I got the snap, I looked to my friend Drake and I'm like, secured the bag. And I didn't want to be too loud because I didn't want her to think anything weird of it. So I was trying to whisper and I said, yo, secured the bag. And he's like, bro, what are you saying? I'm like, bro, secured the bag. Like, I secured the bag. And I spoke too loud because she heard me. She's like, what do you mean by secured the bag? Now, I didn't want her to think like I was trying to win a bet, like, oh, if I can get her Snapchat or not. Like, I wasn't trying to do that at all, I didn't want her to get the wrong idea. So I was like, oh no, we were just talking about something different, right? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, let me not say this thing out loud, right? So I text Lyle because he went to the bathroom at the time, and I'm like, secure the bag. But I spelled bag incorrectly, right? And instead, I said secure the bad. He came in and he laughed at my typo saying, what do you mean by secure the bag? Secure the bad. Huh, what does that even mean? And I'm like, dude. Rose heard it and she's like, okay, I think I'm want to leave now. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, don't get me wrong. Was she kind of overreacting? Yeah, but at the same time, like, dude, like, I fumbled that. I'm like, what am I doing? So we all walk her back. And we're helping her to her car, and we split into those groups again. And Naya was talking to her the whole way there, and then all of a sudden she looks back at me and has like this weird look of like she was like disgusted. I'm like, what? I'm like, what could she have possibly told her that would make her even make a face like that? I have no clue. To this day, I'll never know. But yeah, I didn't text her. She didn't text me, and I thought that was it until 2 weeks later, she hit me up and was like, hey, do you want to study together in the library? And I'm like, sure. And at the end of the day, even though I almost lost, I recovered it somehow and got that dub. We hung out and we got some drinks later, and the rest is history. So that's it. That is it for Diary of a College Kid episode 2. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please make sure to subscribe and like the video. And I'll catch you in the next video.